Hey everybody, it's Jackie Luqman.
Hey, I'm at this any Luqman.
And this is the end of the trip edition of activists having breakfast wherever we are. Today we're having breakfast in the hood in Louisiana, which is, we wish we had this kind of place in our neighborhood. This is, we're at the Buttermilk Drop Bakery on Dujunar. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Dujunar Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. Real cool soul food joint. Amazing pastries. Look, I'm going to show you the pastries over here. Try not to show people's. See, everybody's booty is in the way. Yeah. Which is kind of fitting. But there are little pastries in there. And I mean, the pastries look
Krispy Kreme
amazing.
Krispy Kreme ain't got nothing on this.
Krispy Kreme ain't got nothing on these people. We're going to have to take a couple donuts back, just to snack on for later.
Oh,
just in case your sugar gets low. That's all.
Yeah.
It's emergency donuts, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely taken out of orbit too.
So we're winding down from our trip here to New Orleans for the Netroots Nation convention, and we understood that Netroots is a Democratic Party thing, and it's supposed to be the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. But what are your thoughts on this, hon?
Well, I put it this way. Like I said yesterday, I feel like once again the Netroots convention was more of window dressing for a lot of issues. Get a bunch of us together. We pay all this money. We get us together, and then we sit around and nothing really gets done. A lot of people have a lot of rhetoric, a lot of what we should do and all this other kind of stuff. But when you have conventions like this, and this was the thing that I was trying to talk about yesterday, is that we should have an agenda. We should walk out of these places with a clear-cut plan on where to go next. The fact that the Black Caucus or that the Black activists that attend Netroots had to go through the same thing last year in Chicago, and then this thing here. So what are we going to do it again next year? I think that when we're in these type of spaces, there has to be an agenda. Then why come? And if we understand that we're not going to be given the respect by Netroots, then abandon it altogether. And then we form our own venue. And I was told yesterday by I think Yane and others that that there are other venues that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that's what we need to do. I think after a while, when folks are just not showing you the respect, when organizations aren't showing you respect and taking you for granted, then it's time to not force them to do anything. But the time of it is that we say, okay, well then we just form our own thing, and then we go from there. And if you want our support, then you got to find us. Now that's going to take a lot of organizing.
Yeah.
Because over 90% of Black people are Democrats.
Right.
And it's going to take a lot of organizing in order to further politically educate our demographic to understand that we don't have to play that game.
Right.
They can't win without us.
Right.
And that's been shown. We can't win without us. So the thing of it is the fact that if we can't be shown and given the respect that we rightfully deserve as being the most loyal demographic to this party, even though I'm not a Democrat anymore, you're not a Democrat, but that don't mean I won't vote for Democrats if I feel that they're going to promote a specific Black progressive agenda.
Exactly.
But outside of that, instead of getting up there cussing people out on stage and stuff, after a while, if they're not listening to us, then we say, the next year we're going to get together and we're going to form our own convention, and we're going to invite Black progressives from all over the country, and then we can craft an agenda and not just a national agenda. Too much emphasis is always focused on national politics.
Right.
What we really need to do is we can have a national agenda, but we also need to craft our local. We need to use that as a template to craft our local agendas. You know, and you know, okay, we got a black caucus, but what we really need to do is form a black political party.
Right, and they exist, and we've done it before. You know, but it's so hard to continue pushing this boulder up the hill, but we can't give up doing it. That's kind of been the problem. You know, Jimmy T is commenting on the stream saying, ask who funds the campaign, ask where the money comes from. Listen, black people been doing this a long time, and white people who have just gotten engaged in politics since Bernie Sanders think they have all the answers. They come in all the time, like we talked about yesterday with the situation in New Jersey with Cory Booker and Mark Zuckerberg and $100 million to turn around Newark schools. All these well-meaning white people came in with all this money, but didn't talk to the black people who were on the ground.
And another thing too, man, we just don't have the time. We don't have the time anymore to play those type of, who's funding this and who's behind this, and we don't have the luxury for that.
We don't. I mean, because honestly, people that we're supposed to be, asking who funds the campaign, you ain't funding us. You ain't sending us no money. So, I mean, it blows my mind that all these people are focused on, well, who's funding this person's campaign, and they're getting money from this person and that person. But when we ask for money to help fund our activism, oh, it's crickets. But then you want to criticize who we do get money from. Get out of here with that. We are not in a position anymore, and we honestly never have been, to keep answering to other people's demands on what our issues are.
Well, the first distraction was the whole Soros thing.
Come on.
So when black activists tried to, first it was a criticism that black activism was being funded by Soros. Mm-hmm. He was the boogeyman at the time.
Right.
Now that lost steam. So it was like, okay, we would support you, but we heard without any proof that we heard that Soros is funding Black Lives Matter, Soros funding this, Soros funding that.
No evidence of that.
Right. Meanwhile, all of those so-called concerned folks who was concerned about Soros funding it never took over the funding from Soros.
Exactly.
So that was one thing, and that was always used as a distraction. Mm-hmm. And now again, here we are literally having the door damn near closing our face, in this country.
Yep.
Now it's like, well, it's my job now to find out who is funding this and who is funding that, and it's my job to ask this question. We don't have the time. So this is the reason why there's a such thing as what they call allyship. You know what being an ally is? Ally is when you hit your what? Ally is being supportive in the fight. When you're allied to somebody, that means you're taking your resources, your talent, and abilities to help the ones that you're allying yourself with in the fight. Right. You can't call yourself an ally that sit on the side and give marching orders. You can't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So an ally is that you also get your hands dirty.
Exactly.
You bring what you have to the table, and that's supposed to make our coalition stronger. Exactly.
And Jimmy T is still coming with his comments. It's not a luxury to do research as to how who buys you and who deceives you. Jimmy, if you're not going to listen to the people who've been doing this all our lives, and if all you're going to do is come in and tell us what we need to be doing, you can leave.
Well, I tell what Jimmy. This is my advice to Jimmy. You do it, and then get back with us.
Thank you. We've been telling folks about who Hillary Clinton is and the DNC for years. So please don't come on our page, on our video when we're talking about our issues and tell us what we should be doing. We have had to fight that the whole time. We're not going to fight that on this stream.
No.
Either you're going to listen and you're going to be an ally, or you can take your agenda somewhere else. We're tired of this kind of co-opting and folks swooping in telling us what to do.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you're so concerned about if you're so concerned about who's behind the scenes, then do the work.
Hey, Jim, who the fuck told you on this stream that we voting for people because somebody told us that we had to be in a party? You don't know who you're talking to on here. I know where you came from, Jimmy. I know what page you came from. You can take that real progressive stuff back over there to there. That's not for here. Don't make me interrupt my husband one more time. Don't do it.
It's all right because this is what we always had to deal with. And this is something. This is the thing that Martin Luther King said back in the '60s when he spoke about these white liberals and these white progressives. Now we understand, and we shouldn't have to say this. We know it's not everybody, but there is enough that impedes the political development of black people. There's enough of them that hinder the advancement politically of black folks, economically, and everything else. So it's not like it may not be the majority, but it's enough. That causes problems. So, like Martin Luther King said, and we're still dealing with it today, is that a lot of them aren't trying to really sincerely educate themselves on on not only structural racism, institutional racism, what we have to go through,
right?
But the fact that it's still this mentality that that you're not going to be successful unless we're telling you what direction to go. And it's always this, it's always this distraction. Mm-hmm. It's always these exercises, I call them distraction.
Right.
So it's like, oh, wait a minute, give me the Soros and we'll help you.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute, find out who's behind this. Oh, wait a minute, you should do this and you should do that. In the meantime, you continue to gain. We continue to lose, and all it is just it's like in a relay race. You're running, and people are just throwing objects in your way to trip you up.
Right. And I mean, so Jimmy still is with the comments. You must have a discussion. Here's how you don't have a discussion. You don't have a discussion coming in telling the people that you're having a discussion with, who are trying to discuss their issues, what they should be talking about. You came into discussion talking about oil pipelines. You said, I am concerned with oil pipelines. We're not right now. That's not what this discussion is about right now. So it would have been helpful if you didn't come into the discussion with what you wanted to talk about.
But see, that's what my grandmother used to call it, the mighty Whitey syndrome.
Right, exactly.
And see, that's what it is. It's the mighty Whitey syndrome, where you feel that you can come into any space of people of color and co-opt it. And it's not about our agenda anymore. It's about your agenda and what interests you, what you're concerned about, what tickles your fancy.
Right.
And that's more important than what anybody else's concerns that concern them. My grandmother used to call it the mighty Whitey syndrome.
Exactly. And the fact that you actually asked, what the fuck did Obama do for us? Clearly you don't know who we are, because we didn't bring up Obama and we have criticized him plenty on this page. So again, Jimmy T, your conversation in this space right now is an example of the kind of issues black people deal with in politics wherever we go. You don't want to listen to what we have to say. You gave your input on what you were concerned with, on what we wanted to talk about before you even heard what we had to say. Then you're going to tell us what you think our position is, and you are dead wrong, and you are still commenting, trying to be right.
And it's nothing but the mentality of a colonizer.
That's all it is.
Trying to colonize our space, trying to colonize our conversation, trying to colonize our thoughts, trying to colonize our politics. And this is one of the reasons why so many of us are just so tired of having to convince you, which a lot of us feel like we don't have to anymore. We realize now, just with true, that most of y'all don't give a fuck about our issues. You don't give a shit about our issues, and we understand that, and we're okay about that. But what we're saying is, because we know you don't, then we don't have to entertain this. You know? So we don't have to entertain this, because if you really truly wanted to be an ally, if you truly cared about issues of black people and people of color, but specifically black people, because that's what we deal with, then you would have some humility.
Right.
But what I don't see right now is any humility. And this is the thing that when it comes to us, that you feel like you don't need any.
Right.
You don't need any humility. You come in once again as a colonizer and say that you know better. It's a whole thing of the white man's burden that you come here to symbolize us politically, and we don't need it. We're not asking for it. We don't need it.
Come on now. And now he's sitting there playing the victim. Let me explain. Let's explain something. Black people in Louisiana, in New Orleans in particular, are still dealing with the fallout from Katrina, where you've got historically and predominantly black neighborhoods that were eviscerated because of a disaster, and then the people were preyed upon by neoliberal vulture capitalists who didn't honor insurance contracts, so people couldn't get their homes rebuilt. Then gentrification came in and pushed poor black people out of their neighborhoods. So now you've got a situation where predominantly black, historically black neighborhoods are nearly white. Treme is one. We were there yesterday. And then in the remaining neighborhoods where the predominantly poor and predominantly black people live, they're still suffering from lack of services, poor health care, a crappy education system that was privatized, and over 70% of the public schools in New Orleans proper were closed and privatized against the wishes of the people who lived here. There's a neighborhood now that is fighting to keep their public neighborhood schools open against private charter school, against the private charter school movement. Those are our issues. But if you had come into this conversation and listened, you would have heard about what our issues are.
Instead of talking about pipelines.
Right. I mean, if you wanted to know what our position is in regard to environmental issues with black people, yes, we have concerns about environmental issues too. But it's not the Dakota Access Pipeline, it's the incinerators and the garbage dumps.
And we have posted on our page plenty of times about environmental issues. But once again, this is see the fact that we're talking about that. Mm-hmm. See, this is the thing. Instead, we didn't start off to talk about that. But this is what colonizers do.
Exactly.
See, the thing of it is now we're talking about things to try to convince him that we dealt with other issues where we really shouldn't give a fuck about what he's thinking. You know what I mean? So my thing is like this: is that that's what colonization does. So the thing of it is that I'm done trying to teach you how to survive the winter and what to eat, like the pilgrims did your ancestors. Mm-hmm. I'm going back to what we were talking about before. And the thing of it is that we have to have an agenda. And I was kind of encouraged that they did have something come out of this convention.
Yeah.
It didn't go as far enough as I would like it to have went, because I felt like there should be something tangible, something concrete on paper to say that we got together. And this is the core issues, because we know what our issues are. Right. Not only do we know what our issues are, we know what the solutions to those issues are.
Exactly.
You know, so I think that had we would have came out of that convention with something concrete and say this is our position, you know, and that from this day forward we're not looking for your permission in order to talk about this. Right. We're not looking for your permission to engage politicians on our specific agenda. We're not looking to play nice, because we understand now, it might have took us a while to wake up to it, but we understand now that politics is bloody, it's a blood sport, and that everybody else goes for the juggler, but they expect for us to, everybody brings a knife to the fight, but we're supposed to bring feathers.
Right.
And you know, so we understand that even in our political arena, we have to bring a knife to the fight too. Right. And that we have to be able to engage in the political arena with just as much viciousness as everybody else have used politics against us in a vicious manner. Exactly. You know, and that we all understand that morality has no place in politics, not in this country. Has no place in this country. Yeah. So this is the thing that I think, and I hope that as the coming days and the coming months ensue, that these bright people that we have on the Black Ass Caucus, that these bright people will understand that we can't leave it here in New Orleans. Right. That there has to be subsequent gatherings or meetings, the use of technology to get us together, so that we can craft a black specific agenda, not only nationally but locally, and understand that this has to be done unapologetically,
Right.
and that either if you're going to be an ally means that you're going to help us.
Right.
Ally doesn't mean that you take control, that
Right.
you take over,
Right.
or any of those other type of things.
Right.
But I will say this: if you don't do that, then get used to having a Trumptonian government. Because that's what's going to happen in the next couple of decades if the so-called progressive movement don't get their act together and realize you're not going to win without us.
Nope. I just blocked Jimmy T because I'm 51 years old and I'm not in school and he's not my teacher and he ain't nobody's father over here. So, you know.
but see, this is the lack of humility that so many on the white progressive, so-called white progressive left. This is what they lack.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you don't even see me as being an equal, even in the political discussion. That you have to come in my space, in our space, and talk about what concerns you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's clearly defined, when you come in and you see what we're talking about, but then you want to sit up here and be like, well, hell with what y'all talking about. I'm concerned about oil pipelines. Okay, well, fine. Then go somewhere where they're talking about that.
Right.
We're not talking about that here.
Yeah.
But it's the lack of humility that you cannot accept. People of color being direct with you like that.
Right.
And telling you that, hey, well, you need to go somewhere else. See, that goes against your entitled sensibilities. So now you got to stay on this page and argue with me because your sense of entitlement and your socialization has socialized you throughout your life to say that I'm not allowed to give you orders.
Yeah, and the language people like that use, you know, I expect you to know this, and I am telling you, you ain't telling us.
It's all coming from a position of power.
It's all coming from a position of superiority and power. And I'm sorry, we run this shit over here.
Yeah.
Please understand. The Luqmans run this.
As Michael Corleone said in Godfather 3, I run this family right or wrong.
So, I mean, the whole reason we came down here, like I said at the beginning, we understand that Netroots is a Democratic Party function. We get that. But the reason we come down here to these things is because people need to see how it's done. People need to see what is done to black people, even in these spaces that are supposed to be more inclusive for us. So we haven't been Democrats for some time.
Yep. A long time.
For a while.
Yeah.
But we came down here partially because we were asked by friends to participate in this panel because this work is what we do. This, like I said yesterday in the panel, this race work is what we do. Is who we are. We're race people.
But we will say this. Unless Netroots changes the way that they deal with black activism and the way that they if Netroots don't change the way that they deal with black activists, and if they don't offer more concessions, because that was the thing that I thought, that people like us who are constantly being defunded, you know, there's a conscious effort on the part of the progressive movement to defund black activists.
Yep.
To defund black activists, and there is no way that the people who have the least should be able to shoulder the burden of such an exorbitant cost.
Right.
And if they don't change that, we will not be back next year.
No. I mean, I feel like, I don't know how about you, hon, but I feel like if anybody wants to have the conversation about why racial issues in particular are important in politics and why that history is important and how it all connects to politics in real life, I'm willing to go and have the conversation. I'm willing to have the conversation. But I ain't having it for free no more.
No.
We are not having this conversation for free ever again.
We have to make Europeans pay for what they extract out of the ground in Africa. We have to make the Chinese pay for what they're extracting out the ground in Africa, where they want all this wealth for nothing. And we also have to get our white friends and neighbors to understand that you can't constantly expect us to perform, because that's what you're looking for us to do. You're looking for us to perform, and we're not performers.
Right.
I mean, this is meaningful work for us, and this activism is meaningful work for us.
Right.
We're not performers.
Right.
And so, and so you're not, this whole stuff of expecting everything that comes from black people to be given for nothing.
Right.
Just like down here in New Orleans. And this whole thing of everybody profiting off of black culture except black people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The whole thing of black activism, where you want all of this, all of this talent, all of this ability that comes from black activism, but you don't want to pay for it.
Exactly.
The same way that you want all of that cobalt and all of those precious metals and stuff that goes in your iPhones and all of your electronic equipment that come from the poorest regions. Well, actually not the poorest regions, that comes from regions where the people are the poorest, because you're extracting those minerals and you're not paying for it.
Right.
That is the revolution in my eyesight, is that blood-sucking mentality that so many of y'all have has to end.
Yeah, and that applies to what's going on the continent, and it also applies to what's coming out of our hearts and our experiences and our minds, our knowledge. Our knowledge ain't free. Our knowledge is not. And I know I'm just tired, and I'm just not even interested in being polite anymore. Our knowledge ain't free no more, y'all.
Yeah,
it's not.
I mean, you can no longer continue to suck the lifeblood out of us and then keep your shit.
Exactly. And then that's the thing that kills me about, it's like, okay, so we understand that the DNC as a national party, and this is what we didn't have time to make clear yesterday in our panel, because we had one panel, didn't have a lot of time, but I wanted to make clear that when we talk about Democrats, we're not talking about every Democratic candidate.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to say that.
We shouldn't have to say that, but some people are real kind of immature in some of their assessment of politics. There are some local and state Democratic candidates who are a lot more revolutionary than some revolutionaries I know. I mean, personally. And I think we met a couple of them yesterday.
Yeah, we heard one of them on TV yesterday.
Yeah, Cedric Richmond.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy who, and he's a congressman for Louisiana, I think. I don't know about all his politics, but he talked plainly and openly about the need to improve public schools for black kids in New Orleans. I mean, you wanna combat crime? Okay, let's start with improving public schools. Let's start with improving affordable housing. Let's start with reforming the police. Thank you so much. Come on in.
Yeah, we're from Savannah. Come join us.
Come on in here.
Come and join us.
This is amazing. This is what we do in Savannah.
This is what we do in DC. We just came from that room.
We did too.
I noticed. She's got the high.
Yeah. So we're listening. We're like, man, we just had a conversation on the porch.
So, man, feel free to join in.
Yeah. See, this is what we do.
Right.
Wherever we go, the Luqmans are who we are all the time, 24/7, regardless of where we are. We had a conversation like this in IHOP on our first day across from the hotel.
Right.
We in the hood restaurant, a hood joint that is delicious, and we just happen to be having the same conversation. You have to be authentically who you are, everywhere you are, if you really are about that work. And whoever overhears and is uncomfortable with it, so what? But if you who you are, you always gonna find like-minded people who are down with the struggle too.
Tell us about y'all, man, and just we just talk about this whole thing, man, of this colonizing of our space. Like on our show now, like we just doing an impromptu thing, and we had some white progressive come on here, man, gonna tell us how we should do, what we should say, what is our concerns. And this is the whole problem that we had at the Netflix convention.
Right.
You know what I mean? So y'all brothers, man, doing in the conversation, where y'all from and what y'all thoughts on.
Yeah.
So where we from, we deal with similar issues, probably not as much of the largest. Savannah is much smaller than DC. We haven't faced some of the major issues on a larger scale, but we also face them on a smaller scale. Gentrification in area. But we also see that as an opportunity. So one of the things we talked about yesterday was like, reaching out to those families that own those homes and trying to find ways to get folks more involved and taking back their community.
So they can keep their home.
So they can keep their home.
Right.
A lot of it is education too at the same time too. But we notice that we got a lot of people in the area that's just not educated. So it's like, but we're relying on somebody else to come and show them. Instead of going in there ourselves and saying, man, let me show you how to get this home. Let me show you how to get these resources. So what we decided to do was is taking a step forward, is being a part of the process. And so to being a part of the process is staying in our area, staying in the neighborhood, keeping our houses up, inviting folks in. Eddie, I know you own property there in your areas.
I don't know about that too. The main thing is to gentrify your own neighborhood, to do things that will keep it allow for the proper value of the state and really educate people, but not just educate people on how to take care of their home, but educate people about the resources out there to improve their property, to take care of it.
Right.
And also just organize the community.
Can you speak up just a little bit, brother?
And also organizing the community
Right.
to take care of their own community. So that's what I think is important. Because you can't just leave a community sitting for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, living the same way, falling deeper and deeper into despair, and get mad when capitalism it's going to be capitalism every time. It's going to come in, it's going to win. So you either going to be prepared, do what you need to do to make sure your children understand that they stay in your area, that they don't sell their property, and continue to keep the property up and do what they need to do. Those are the type of things you have to teach, not only our generation, but our children and our children's children.
And we agreed, like this morning we had a conversation that we were talking about yesterday about, you bring a big conference to the area, you don't invite people there. When y'all was sitting here talking, we thought y'all was from here at first. Well, I did at least. I was like, well, I could definitely understand, because you come bring all the people here, like, what did you, say, bring back to the area, what did you talk about the area? And those people from the area was not involved in the conversation, people that really matter. And so that, to us, that was like a slap in the face, now they're talking about going to Philly, like, what are you going to do up there in those different from New Orleans or from Atlanta, and so that's important, because a lot of times, you just come in and making this. The problem is like I can think of what she said. She said the people with the pain should be closer to the power.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. That's right.
It just wrong something to me like
that's right.
That's right.
And that's the opposite in all of our areas. The people with the power have never been through it.
That's
have never been through it, and you make a decision on something you've never seen before. You never lived through poverty. Your kids went through private school. There's so many issues there, that we sit like, you make a decision on the public school system, y'all can't lay down.
Right, that's right.
You can't lead that conversation.
That's right.
Precise.
You need to open up the door and let somebody else come lead that conversation. Use your privilege, use your power to say, hey, get somebody else.
There you go.
New Orleans has a rich history, a rich culture. There's people here that have issues that should be on the floor, on the table, in the next conference. And I think they made a drop the ball.
Well, it's not the first time. It's not the first time they've done Atlanta. They did it in Atlanta.
Chicago too.
That was the People Summit. I was at the People Summit where they did the same thing in Chicago, where Black activists from Chicago in the neighborhood were not involved at the main in any of the main stage events at the People Summit. And we had to have a Black caucus to do the same thing in Chicago. So our position as activists is either, and this isn't even about having a seat at the table, because that's not enough. You can sit me anywhere at the damn table. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean you're gonna give me a plate with the same stuff on it that everybody else gets.
Or if my input is not valued,
then
it doesn't matter. Dr. Will Ross out of Western University talks about a thing called diamonism, which is diamonism is in fact the actual act of being.
There you go.
Dominism is in fact the actual action of being dynamic. So in order to have a multicultural mass representation at a table, to hear all voices, we must actually include them in the policy and the planning for your company, your organization, your city, your community, your church, whatever it is, because then it's not dynamic.
That's right.
Until these people are heard, until their input is reflected in standard operating and procedures, you do not have that. Then you'll never have it. Because cultural competency is gold. There is money in cultural competency, and if y'all want to keep ignoring that, you're going to have problems.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that.
Look it's no accident that we are always talking about this, about how revolution starts at the bottom. There's never been a successful revolution on the planet anywhere in this world that started somewhere in the middle by addressing the issues that people who already have a little bit of stuff have. Every successful revolution started at the bottom by empowering the people on the bottom. That's how you rise, the rising tide lifts all boats. No, starting at the bottom is how you create the tsunami that destroys all of the corruption and cleans it all out. But what we see with, and again, the reason we don't talk about the Republican Party is because they're obvious. Why waste your time on them? They make it easy. They're not hiding their stuff. The reason we focus on the Democratic Party is because we understand that a lot of black people are still invested in the Democratic Party. And I'm not mad at that because we live in a two-party political system. We would love to change that and have what we used to have when this so-called Republic experiment started out, all of these different parties, but we don't have that right now. So while we're working toward that, what are we going to do with all the people who are still working inside the party? Are we going to completely just leave them to the wolves? I'm not willing to do that for my people.
And I think that one of the things about, and I'm glad that you brothers and the sister right here just came with that, is that once we said in the beginning, we know what we need. We know what we need, and we have the answers for what we need. And we don't need anyone else outside of that to come in and like I say, come and colonize the situation. Right.
In the Dakota, we don't live in the Dakota. I understand that the issues with the Dakota Access Pipeline. Absolutely support leaving the native people in North Dakota alone. But we don't live in North Dakota. We live in Southeast DC. Y'all live in Savannah, Georgia. This is New Orleans, Louisiana.
But see, this is how this stuff always plays itself out. See, a lot of folks will run up there to Dakota.
Right.
But then when we start talking about raw capitalism coming in and pushing out, and where we from in DC, where they're pushing folks out and not providing any type of affordable housing or anything, there's no rush to come down there and stand with us like they were standing up there.
Nobody comes out to DC to stop the developer tour buses. Nobody's going to Flint.
And I think, it doesn't have to be an either or. We can talk about the Dakota pipeline, we can talk about Flint, we can talk about gentrification in New Orleans. What we can't have is that we only talk about the
Right.
Every time
and
you
nobody here at this conference is even impacted.
That's the issue.
In New Orleans, why are we bringing these people here to give them a national platform to talk about what's important?
Right.
But I would say what's working for us, what is working for us is getting away from the whole idea of electing these officials that we used to elect, and these are your masters, your PhDs. That's been the thing for a while. What we're doing right now, we're looking for community actors, grassroots community people, like these people right here around this area right here, that you can see do the work. They've started from the ground. I mean, just like you said, they started from here. And I think for a long time, the whole idea of being a politician, it was a certain look, it was a certain suit and tie type look, it was a certain PhD type. I'm a judge, I'm a lawyer. They don't do that for us. Well, I got a community garden over here who go out hard in their neighborhood and know the community, know the issues there, and build the things around them. And that's where you put it. The problem is that it's scary for people. It's scary for the typical Democrat, for the typical constituent to say, well, that person don't look like what I would think elected officials look like. That person got more heart and more desire and they can't be bought. And that's what we need. Like, we need more people in those spaces, but in different things, especially in major cities. I can imagine DC and Savannah. We got a chance to go to DC. I know it'd be hard not to grab somebody on top. It's only guaranteed that you're gonna have some big names out there.
But I don't know if you guys, if you have this in Savannah. I know one of the things that I see, and I've seen this down here in New Orleans too, is that the whole thing of these policies being implemented through black politicians. It's like you don't need a white face to do these things. Like in DC, we have a black female mayor who hates poor black people, in my view.
She is like the champion gentrifier.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the white power structure does not have to be held up by white people.
That's true.
That's right.
To do it.
Yep.
The history of these things is that. So, again, that's why when you're looking at who needs to be in power, who needs to be these elected officials, you got to look at the people doing the work.
Right.
People who are invested in these people who actually put skin in the game, put their name on the line, put everything on the line. Those are the people that we need to be getting behind and support.
Exactly.
You know, who in the DC area man doing that.
We got Treon White.
Yeah,
Yep.
And he was put in the power just basically by what y'all was saying, is that the people put him in there. He came out, he talked, he spoke with us. He's from our ward, and he spoke with us. He's from the ward, grew up in the ward, and knew what we specifically needed, and got the support of the people behind him. You know, wasn't out there spending $1 million on his campaign and none of that stuff. And this is what you were saying. It's true that in order for us, we have to get the people that's doing the work, and we put them up for political leadership. Not have the statesmen tell us who we should go for.
Right, and that's exactly
to represent us.
Exactly.
That's right.
It's a dangerous space to be in when you grind it out from the bottom. You know people, people know you. Now you in the limelight. It's always somebody trying to, so
that's right.
Be working to protect them brothers and sisters.
Oh, that's what we're trying to do.
I mean, that's exactly what Chokwe Lumumba said in this panel yesterday, that we have to stop deciding whether we're going to accept the candidates that the establishment, whoever the establishment is, sends us to represent us. No, we need to send our candidates to the establishment. This is who we want to represent.
Exactly.
I mean, we know what to do. You can ignore us at your peril. Honestly, and we've been saying this. We've been saying this in Luqman Nation for almost 2 years now, since we knew that Donald Trump was going to win this election, when he seriously put his his candidacy in. Everybody thought, oh, he's not kidding. And we were the only ones we knew who were like, yes, he is. Yeah. He's serious, and watch, he's gonna win. Yeah. Just because nobody thinks he's serious, everybody thinks he's a clown. But you don't understand these people. And we've been telling you that he's just the kind of person. They've been working for 50 years, him and Mike Pence, to get into that office. So you can keep ignoring black activists, grassroots activists, poor people's activists. You can keep ignoring us all you want to. You're going to have 4 more years of Trump anyway. You just might as well get ready for that, because the Democrats have no answer to anything he's doing other than we're not Trump. That's not it.
Nope. So anyway, we got to end this because the hotel called, and I don't know what that's about. So, hey, brothers, thank you, man, for joining us, man. Thank you, brothers, for joining us. Man, it's been a pleasure.
Nice to meet you. It was wonderful to meet y'all.
And we'll see you guys sometime later on today. All right, take care.